Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I know I haven't come on and done a broadcast in quite some ample amount of time, but that's also because they kind of have me blocked off. Anyhow, you know how it goes. If I have entertainment, then it's all good and dandy. If I got something which is the truth and, you know, kind of giving you some sort of truth, it's just, they don't need that. Anyhow, so I want to discuss a topic today, which is an ayat from the Quran, and it says, you know, for in one of the ayats I came across, it says for the woman to guard themselves, but it's an ayat which is there in the Quran, not on one occasion, but on other occasions, and um, it really, really, really hit me in the past couple of weeks to emphasize on that ayat. What do I mean by that? To actually understand it. So, all my life, I spent kind of this majority of my life thinking that, okay, you know, Allah's always going to guard me, or the God of Ibrahim, my creator, is always going to guard me, like he's the one that's going to guard me, you know. So, actually, no, that's not the case. You know, there's a difference between protect and there's a difference between guard. Why did I separate these two words? Just to take as an example, in another video, I had to separate the two words pure and clean. So again, we're going to go down to this word for guard and protect. Wow. Can it mean the same thing? Similarly, yes. But is it separate in the context that I'm giving it to you in? Yes. Guard yourself. Okay. Guarding yourself. What do you think of the word guard? When I say the word guard, you also think security guard. There's someone there to guard you from that harm coming to you, right? So there's someone on the spot there preventing that harm immediately, directly coming to you, right? So someone right there at that time to guard you, right? Or, for example, like security guards that are there at the moment guarding the money when they're transporting it from one location to another. They're right there with it, guarding it so that, this money doesn't get stolen, doesn't get lost. It's from point A to point B. That's the only thing I can think of, right? So what does it mean for a woman to guard themselves? You yourself have to guard what you have to protect. So in the last example that I gave to you, it was a security guard guarding him. He himself is guarding over that thing that he has to, to make sure that it's okay. Because it's something very valuable for that essence. It's something monetary. It's money, but he's guarding over that money because it's something valuable. For a woman, she's guarding over herself because she herself, her physical aspect, even her mental aspect is connected to her physical aspect. So she has to guard her physical aspect so that her mental aspect is there too, right? Because it connects. Mentally, emotionally, also comes down to physically being guarded. So a woman has to guard what she has, which is her physical aspect, also her mental state of health being as well too, because God doesn't only talk about the physical aspect. He says to the woman as well too, that the only time truly that she's allowed to go ahead and divorce her spouse or initiate it or whatever is when her mental aspect is also being damaged. So ill mannerism, right? And also, being treated with, not being neutral or fair. The conduct is an aspect of mental state too. The harm from the speech is equivalent to the harm from the hands, right? The speech is as dangerous as the physical action of the hand. If you know anything about wars, wars are what? Pride, coming out in the form of speech. You could go ahead and make damage to someone physically. What's it called? As soon as, two politicians are going at it, right? With their speech. They're not guarding their tongues. They're not guarding their speech, which is another ayat in the Quran. It's because we don't watch our tongues. What comes out of the tongue? Speech. Duh. So, in that aspect, we have to guard, whatever is that God is telling us to guard. So we come back, we guard, we're mindful of our tongues. We guard our physical aspect. We guard our bodies, So, that's that. So the women have to guard their physical aspect, but that means they themselves have to watch over it. It's not God that's going to come down and guard what He has given to you to guard, and that's something I always thought that, okay, all my life I thought that God was going to come down and guard me. Actually, no. You yourself, as a woman, have to guard what God has given to you, if this verse applies to you as a woman. Or if you're a man, you have to guard what? You have to guard your, even for a woman too, especially women with their tongues, But for a man, you have to guard what? You also have to guard your, whatever God has given to you, And in God's prospect, the head of the household is usually the man. He's the one who's given, and from that is what he spends. From out of that, he spends for his wife or his children or all the other things that he's supposed to do, which is, whatever application of fractions of the things that we are responsible for to give out as believers. So for a man, he has to guard over his wealth or what he has been given. He has to physically also and mentally guard, from either being stolen from or either being deceived. He has to guard that, right? That's the next part, right? So guarding is basically you doing it. Protecting is now God's part. That's God's part. Let's separate that. You, okay, suppose you're a woman, and I'm giving you a lame example, but you are guarding yourself by wearing, at least decent attire, which isn't going to go ahead and really truly saying so going to cause harm upon you. Right? You are guarding yourself by the way you walk, by the way you present yourself, and you're doing everything that you can to guard yourself, right? But as you're walking down a block, right? Now you have maybe some men who are, maybe let's just say they're intoxicated or they're high or whatever, they're not in their senses, correct? So you have some men who are just meddling around, and they don't have good intentions. They don't have that clean thought in their mind. So now they're going to try to create some problems or some issues. So that's God's part to protect you from that occurring. You are guarding yourself. You are also supplicating unto God to protect you. So how does God come into play? God will, at that, what can he do? He can do anything. So he will divert. Okay, maybe you are wearing the appropriate clothing or the appropriate mannerism or the appropriate whatever it is that can guard you from being a target, right? So God will then, as they're walking by, let's just say you supplicated, you felt a little bit like you're on alarm from being, harmed, right? Just by the way that they're behaving, and they're behaving, uncleanly by their speech, by their mannerism. They might come by and they might make some comments on you. They might try to, they might even try to rob you. It could be robbers just walking by. So God will protect you, because here's all the things that He could do. He could do beyond this, but I'm just giving an example. He could divert them. He could actually make them silent. Maybe these are robbers and they're just passing by you, and you might have like $10,000 in your purse, right? And then they might have just, maybe they're out there looking for the money, maybe they're trying to rob somebody, and you are that person that has the money, but God can even make you hidden. He could just hide you even in plain sight. He can make you hidden to them, their thoughts, their intentions, their plotting, their planning, their mission, whatever. So God can keep you hidden. God can divert them. God can inspire them. Obviously all of these things come through inspiration. God can protect that, prevent that from occurring. So God can prevent that from occurring. So I would like to use the word protecting and preventing in the same context, because to protect is to prevent, to guard is to, keep it secure. You can have a vault, right? You could have a bank, you could have a vault, and you can guard your money, right? But you cannot protect it from a calamity that might occur. Like, let's just say there's a tsunami coming, there's a fire that could occur, there's there could be a robbery that occurs, there could be a earthquake that occurs. So that itself you cannot guard. You can do your best part. You can make strong. I don't know. You can build an infrastructure like the one Japan has, which is able to move and like through an 8.9 epicenter, of an earthquake. You could do whatever you can to guard yourself, but the only one to protect you from fire, from theft, from calamities, from things that are beyond your ability to guard is God. So that's the difference between protect. God can protect, right? We cannot protect, but we can guard, right? And He is not our guard. You understand? We are our own guards, right? Now, there's a different word for it now. So if we say guardian, what happens now? Guardian is to also guard again. What are you doing? You're guarding over your children, and as you're guarding over your children, you're guarding over your family, you're guarding over your assets, you're guarding over whatever it is that is of value to you, or whatever God considers to be of value to you. So you're guarding over that, but you cannot protect your children. You can guard them, but you cannot protect them. You can guard them to make sure that you give them a good upbringing, teach them all the essentials and the basics, and you're guarding by kind of teaching them how to guard themselves. That's how you're guarding them, by the way. You are guarding those that you love or those that you care over by teaching them how to guard themselves. You could be the best guardian in the world, but then if your children don't know what they have to guard over themselves when they go out into the real world, right? Obviously, in the real world, what's it called? They won't be guarding themselves, right? And then that's how we, even though we guard ourselves as parents or as family or as friends or whatever, right? When they're back out in the real world, you cannot protect them from what is coming their way. Only God can protect them from coming their way, from whatever is coming their way, whether it's bad influence, right? Whether it's bad people, whether it's a calamity, whatever, whatever's out there, of things that are not really in a good essence, something good. So you can guard your children, but you cannot protect your children. You can guard them from getting harmed. Let's just say you're in your family house and somebody's gonna come in to try and rob you guys, right? And they're there, they have like contrabands on them, You can guard your child by probably standing in front of them, putting them in a closet, whatever, so that they can't get to them. But protection comes from God at that point. So no matter what you do, God still has to be able to protect them, which is the barrier between you and the thing that you're guarding from, or the person you're guarding from, or the calamity you're guarding from. Guarding is you yourself, and protecting is God. So first you need to guard in order for God to protect you. One doesn't work without the other. If you don't guard yourself, God will not protect you. Okay? So that's the first step. All my entire life, there are verses in the Quran which are they're very connected to this, and it's something I had to learn when I'm 30. So now I'm 30 years old, and I'm learning the difference between guard and between protect. Okay, so that's that. Um, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the protector, but while you yourself, or the guardian of your own self, and perhaps those you love, or whatever assets it is, or whatever things you have responsibility over. So I'm going to leave it off for today, and I thank you, for anyone out there whom has the ability to connect with me through YouTube, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving me the chance to even be able to broadcast even one, through this platform of YouTube, which has, the capacity to put out everything else. I know that they don't want this out there, but hey, going to try. Thank you. Ciao.